Welcome to Blackbird episode number 94. My name is James, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I am excited to bring back to the show for, I think, appearance number 3, maybe even 4, Mr. Pavel. Pavel is, of course, our crypto trading buddy. And, well, with the state of the crypto markets right now, I wanted to get his input on what's going on. Let's see, updates. So I was at the LP National Convention last weekend. It was fucking amazing. I'm glad I went. Obviously some of my criticisms of the LP still stand. Although I have come around to kind of understand the nature of power a little bit more holistically, I guess, than the last time we talked. Pete Quinones and Andrew and those guys are some of my closest friends, and I still would consider them friends and allies in all of this. And maybe I'll write something up or do a solo episode or something like that on that. That way I don't bore you during my intro and we can get right into it. So without further ado, let's do just that and get right into it. Pavel, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, James. Thank you for having me back. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks. You're welcome, man. I'm exhausted. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. Minneapolis does these great movies in the park, but they have to start after sundown. So we went to Back to the Future. I almost said Black to the Future. Back to the Future last night in the park. I'm all eaten up by mosquitoes, and we didn't get home till past midnight. But it was a lot of fun. Okay, so in the chat they're saying to close my blinds. Unfortunately, this is like a white window shade, so there's no blinds to shut. My landlady put these up, and they're very convenient for everything except for streaming. So you'll just have to grin and bear it. I do have lights on my face, so hopefully, as it gets a little bit dimmer outside, that'll improve. What else? So John, when am I heading to Chicago? That's going to be a while. I was going to go to Chicago this weekend, I think, but that kind of fell through. So we'll see. Pavel, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. Where should we start? Why don't we just start with life, right? Because you've had some. Let's see. So we hung out a little bit in, I think, March or April of this year, and you were kind of in the process of moving. You're no longer in your parents' basement, or I guess probably more like your childhood bedroom. You're from a state that doesn't really do basements, so
right.
Yeah. How was that? How's living on your own?
Oh, it's great. It's great. I was supposed to move out a year ago, but my dad got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So as the only child, I decided to stay home and help out my parents as much as I could. And yeah, everything's doing great with him. And, the doctors say he's got many years left, and he's only got a few procedures left, but he's doing great. And since I wasn't needed anymore and I've been ready to spread my wings for a while, I finally left home and now have my own apartment, which is quite nice.
Good. Well, congratulations. Are you living on your own, or do you have like a roommate, or what's the situation there?
It's just me right now.
Wow. Awesome.
I have a single bed, and it's just me hanging out.
Cool. I've lived on my own exactly once in my life. It was for 2 years, and it was very peaceful. Are you adulting well? Like, I know you keep your house clean, which is cool.
Oh,
I did not do that when I was living on my own. I'm not a very good cleaner of things. But like, are you crashing on the couch and falling asleep just kind of wherever, wearing whatever, or do you have a schedule and things like that?
I like to keep myself really clean, like both my hygiene and my apartment. So I'll sometimes fall asleep on the couch, but that's usually if it's like really late and I'm, to be honest, really high and just don't want to move.
Yeah,
because my couch is really comfy.
I just remember when I was living on my own, just crashing wherever I was. Like I would fall asleep, watching TV, and then wake up in the middle of the night and it'd be infomercials and stuff like that. That was kind of back when it was normal to have cable. So I would be actually watching TV and not wake up to the, "Are you still watching this on Netflix?" So anyway, Any other lifestyle stuff? Are you still full-time trading, or have you had to give up
Well,
that and
I
get a
have
job?
well, I haven't been really trading or doing really anything for the past 2 months, really, since the market kind of my last, I guess, hurrah that I had was riding the DeFi Kingdoms wave,
Mm.
like the Crystal Veil launch that they had on Avalanche. That was great. That was an amazing week. And then since then, I'm glad I sold everything because it's basically nuked down like 95% in price.
Jeez.
Yeah, I right now I'm sort of like I spoke to you briefly before the show about this. My best friend, he has a he has a small accounting business that he's just started up, and it's just him that does it, and he's got only got a few clients. So right now I'm helping him do inventory for a rug store that he is a client that he has as a client. That's really all I've got going on right now is helping my friend, but I'm trying. I've got a few things in the pipeline. I have a friend that's a streamer. We're talking about like creating a NFT collection for him and having a little
Nice.
social. Yeah, yeah. It really we're trying to base it off of the whole Bored Ape thing, which is kind of a social club that surrounds his whole streaming thing. So we're just kind of playing around with ideas on that. I have an artist friend that could draw the various portraits or whatever we want to do. And yeah, so that's kind of what I've got going on right now. I don't know. I'm just kind of just existing, waiting for the next for the market to get exciting again.
Yeah. Well, it seems like every time I open Gemini, there's like new tokens that they've added to their repertoire. Is there anything doing well right now? Um, versus the
uh
dollar. And we're gonna have some Bitcoin maxi pads that are listening to this that will say no, nothing's doing well because it's all shit coins. But I mean, if we're talking strictly from making money and not investing soundly, is there? I mean, are there any opportunities at this moment?
as far as tokens go, there's nothing that's really on my radar because the trend is just it's so heavily in a downtrend that
Mm,
you can't really you got to wait for a trend reversal across really the whole market, and for that to happen Bitcoin has to kind of reverse. And while
yeah,
Bitcoin's held up very well compared to everything else, it's still
has it?
down over. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well, I'm glad that I'm mostly in Bitcoin at this point. There's a while there where Ethereum was sort of my primary token that I was in. Um, but I transferred a whole bunch of that, only token amounts, so to speak, of that and Link and a few others, but everything else is
mhm.
in Bitcoin at this point. Um, so what why is it that Bitcoin is tracking so closely with the traditional markets?
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we now have more institutional money in the market.
Mhm.
uh, w- we're at is in terms of history that we've had, we're at peak institutional interest in the markets. We are at peak traditional investor interest in cryptocurrency. And as a result, you're going to get similar behavior to more traditional markets as a
Mhm.
result of that. Because
Is
it's
it
more of this, yeah, sorry, go on.
I mean, is it possible for retail investors at this point to make dents in the market, or is it so heavily flooded with institutions that I mean, we're just kind of in a holding pattern at this point?
I think the time will come again where retail is ready to go risk on and
Mm,
drive a new run. Um, right now, that's not the time due to inflation fears and this kind of which we saw happen around November when the CPI print started like noticeably going up. I forget what exactly it went to, but it was like the highest in a long, long time. And as a result of that, you saw people get worried about putting their money in risk on assets because they weren't sure how they were going to hold against the dollar. And even though in theory Bitcoin is designed to be inflation proof and fight inflation, it's still prone to the emotions and decisions of people that hold, buy, trade it. And we've seen that reflected in the price. But compared to like I said earlier, compared to all the other tokens on the market, it's held up best because it is designed to,
mm.
you know, hold up and be strong in the face of inflation, in the face of market volatility. And yes, even though it is a volatile asset itself, it's the least volatile in an incredibly volatile market.
Yeah. So with I mean with even the head of, I think it was Goldman Sachs, and Janet Yellen, all kind of admitting that we're in store for some pretty tumultuous economic times. Do you think that those of us who are sort of in this crypto game are like, should we be as worried as, say, the guy who just lives paycheck to paycheck?
Well, if you have the money to be playing the crypto game, I don't think you really have to worry as much. I think that, yeah, even though I think all of us are probably going to face some form of hardship
Mhm.
with, as the dollar continues to have issues. But yeah, the people who don't have any resources, they're the ones who are going to get hit the worst. Because, I mean, obviously, I think long term, if those people could scrounge up whatever they had and responsibly invest into Bitcoin, and I think I personally think that another behind Bitcoin, and you'll agree with this, the best hold is Ethereum. I think,
Yeah.
and just in terms of proven, uh, just it's how it's proven. Yeah, those people that they're going to get hit the hardest, and it makes me. This is crypto aside, is focusing more on society. That is very concerning for multiple reasons. Apart from the humanitarian, it's just that's going to lead to increasing crime, and that's going to
Yeah.
have a ripple effect. And yeah, I think everybody listening to this is pretty aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, and so I'm still just dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin every week. Is that still the right move in your opinion?
I would, yeah, I think so. I definitely would. I wouldn't be throwing a shitload of money right now at it. Definitely just keep dollar cost averaging. I personally plan on going, because I'm mostly in stable coins right now. I'm really only holding some NFTs at the moment.
Mhm.
Because going back to your question earlier, really that's the only space that is making any money right now is
Really?
NFTs. Yeah. And even then it's a select few. But uh I'm sorry, I kind of lost track. It's kind of been a
Well,
long day. I lost
yeah,
track of
no,
what
no
your
problem. So
question was.
I asked about dollar cost averaging,
Yes, yes.
and
Okay,
yeah.
what my plan is. Yeah. So I'm thinking personally that I'm gonna enter back after Q3, so around October of this year. So
Mhm.
beginning Q4, that's when I plan on buying back. That's when a lot of, from what I've seen in various like chats I've been in, the big whales that I have access to, that's when a lot of them are thinking of buying back again, is
Mhm.
kind of once, like, around election season. Like, we should at least get some pump of some kind, because Biden's gonna, the Fed and they're gonna do something to, the incumbent party always does, and especially in this economy, they're definitely gonna try something. So
Yeah,
it'll be
they're
at
gonna
least
have to.
there'll be a good bounce, I think, around then at least, and hopefully we'll continue to, that'll actually be a trend reversal, but we'll see. But yeah,
So
I
have
think
you
Bitcoin's,
ha
yeah, if you're gonna dollar cost average in Bitcoin, then followed by Ethereum, I think.
did you even sell off all your link?
I did actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so technically I'm not in the Link Marines right now.
That's that's surprising. That was your
I
big
know.
thing.
It was.
And yeah, I wish you had told me that when you
Yeah,
did it, because
it was very, yeah.
no,
It was
it's fine. I mean, I think with staking coming around the corner and things like that, I'm sure, hopefully, I won't have lost a bunch of money.
oh yeah. Well,
I'm not heavily in Link right now, but like my partner, uh, that's
oh,
basically what he's
yes.
in. So, and he bought at the
That was
very
based on
top,
my
which,
advice.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was, but we won't
Which
get into that.
but to be fair, I did say whenever it did get back up to the 30s in November, I said, "Hey, if he wants to de-risk right now, I don't blame
Yeah,
him, and I get it."
yeah.
To be fair, to be in my defense, I made a bad call, and I made a right call. But yeah, that was a bad call overall.
Do you think we'll ever see Chainlink kind of back where it was?
If staking is successful, like it's been hyped up to be by the autists that are super into the nitty gritty of smart contracts and Oracle services,
Mhm.
I think it will. If it does, if price action does not improve, then I would begin to be concerned about fundamentals at that point, because even in a bad market like this where everything's going down, it's like Link was able to in the last bear market. And granted, the last bear market was happening in a macro bull market, and we've never actually had a crypto bear market and a macro bear market. So we'll see, but I think that staking will actually have an impact on tokenomics because, and this is really where I messed up going big on Chainlink. And this is why I think I made a lot of money with it, trading it at first, and why I was so like big into investing in it really was because I found out about it in early 2019, and that was sort of still like the whole market was sort of in this 2017 mindset where a token doesn't have any real utility to the holder. It's just speculation.
Sure.
And Chainlink for a long time offered the greatest speculative value of any altcoin, in my opinion, because of the passive income opportunity from staking. And we didn't have a clear timeline on staking then. It was still speculation. We weren't sure if it was going to be another year, 2 years, 6 months. Obviously, it was way longer than I and many others anticipated, and that burned us as a result. But it now, once it has utility in this new market, and this is where things have changed. It's not 2017 anymore. We're not purely speculating. A token has to have value to the holder. Like you have to be able to do something with it, at least interact with some ecosystem like Ethereum, or lend it out like a stable coin or any of these other ones that were really popular for a while there in the bull run last year. But I think that eventually it will, because it will have utility for the holders via
Yeah, I
staking.
think that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Also with Link is that it has practical value and not just symbolic value. Unlike a lot of I mean, like Doge, for instance. I mean, you call it a meme coin, which that kind of makes sense. Whereas Chainlink, I mean, unless oracles just will never catch on, uh, wouldn't you say that Link is like long term promising?
I think so, because I don't think it's a coincidence that you saw a massive explosion in decentralized finance and a lot of these other sectors across crypto
Mhm.
after 2019, because that's when even though it's not a fully decentralized Oracle network yet, and not anybody can run a node, and it's sort of a somewhat controlled and closed ecosystem, the fact that a project could now access off-chain data, it opened a Pandora's box to use cases for
Yeah.
tokens for networks. And if it lives up to what it's fundamentally promised, then oracles as a service are going to radically change society. And not we're not going to see that on the front, like on the front side of things, like on the front end. It's going to be a back end change that's just going to trickle through. And most normal people aren't even going to be able to pinpoint where it came from, but
Mhm.
I think that's going to be a game changer.
So you said that you're more in NFTs than anything right now. Where are you looking for NFTs? Where should people go if they want to get into that um,
It's well,
hobby? I guess.
yeah.
I didn't want to use the word game again. I've already used
Oh,
that
you're
word. So
fine.
hobby is what I'm going to use, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it is sort of a game. It is
Yeah.
social
Oh, totally.
gamification. Um, it's hard to find a good NFT project. In my experience, it comes from word of mouth, and it's usually someone that you've already kind of heard of or has a following. And right
Mhm.
now, I only am really big into one right now. It's called Kanpai Pandas. It's chat, which is Japanese for cheers, and it's run by this guy from crypto Twitter. His name's Icebags. They're kind of trying to emulate what the Bored Apes are doing, which I mentioned earlier. And the reason why everybody's trying to emulate the Bored Apes and not be a carbon copy of it, but sort of create that social club around the NFT collection, because as of now, that's really the only use case that we have for NFTs and like a feasible sense. Obviously, NFTs are useful for a variety of things beyond that, but in terms of just basic getting normies and non-crypto native people using networks and sort of familiar with the space and the technology, that's kind of where the momentum is in terms of not just money, but developments and adoption.
Cool. Well, and I've always seen the promise of NFTs, not in, not in tokenizing a JPEG, but in, creating like a certificate of authenticity and a certificate of ownership for like
Right.
meat space artwork, which John Hartman actually asked for advice on, like actually minting an NFT, and I would assume for his own artwork. But then also as like, kind of replacing the traditional title for real estate. I mean, if you could completely disrupt the title industry with, I mean, title the fees that you pay for title when you buy a house just to sit in a room and sign a bunch of papers is insane.
Hmm.
So if you could make that one thing on the blockchain, that would make the home buying experience for the average person less expensive and more accessible. Is that a use case for NFTs, or am I completely
Oh,
misunderstanding what they are?
you absolutely have it nailed down right. That's going to be what changes. I think that's going to be what, like, one of the big use cases is like the title. It is the deed. It is all of that. It is,
Yeah.
it's the social ownership of things, and having a database that is immutable is going to obviously change that. But
Mhm.
sorry, hold on. I have to take a sip of my water. My
Sure,
mouth's
no
really
problem.
dry.
Yeah. So, and I guess the
Uh,
other question that came up also while you're taking a sip was how to actually make an NFT for yourself,
right.
which, from what I understand, is I mean, it's a fairly straightforward process, but you do have to kind of go through a service. Like you can't just really, the average person can't just do it on their own, from what I
Right.
understand.
Right. Yeah, you have to use OpenSea or Rarible or
Yeah.
uh, whatever the platform is for your preferred blockchain. But the number one platform for NFTs is OpenSea, which is on Ethereum. Ethereum is the number one platform for trading NFTs, which is unfortunate because it's also the most expensive platform.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that it is the most popular because it's the most proven, and your NFT is guaranteed to be around basically in the foreseeable future because Ethereum is not going anywhere.
Is it possible to use the Bitcoin blockchain for that? I've sat in a class with Vin Armani, and he's talked about how he sees it happening. But I didn't. It completely went over my head. And you're my guy for dumbing down things that go over my head. So I'm asking you.
Right. Uh, so I'm not as well versed on the nitty gritty technical side of things like that. I'm more of a markets guy, but
Sure.
I can explain that a little bit in that you can build smart contracts on Bitcoin. You can create NFTs on Bitcoin. It's just you're relying on a network that is not designed for applications or
Mm,
computational services that are beyond transferring value and maintaining that value and fighting inflation. And that's why, this kind of gets back to the whole debate, between that the maxis get into is like, oh, like, Ethereum is just a pump and dump, giant pump and dump scheme. There can only be one. So like Bitcoin, well, no, Ethereum is just, it's designed for people to go and create applications on a blockchain that Bitcoin just can't do. And Bitcoin is don't get me wrong, Bitcoin's the best at being a store of value and being an investment vehicle by far. It's the most proven, and it's going to be for a long, long time. But it's not designed to be a general purpose blockchain like Ethereum is. And
yeah.
people give Ethereum shit for, Austrians do, and I get this because they're thinking of it from a sound money perspective, and they're thinking of it as a store of
Yeah.
value purely
Right.
because
I
the
think of
supply is
well,
flexible. Yeah.
I think of Ethereum as more of a vehicle than a currency. I mean, obviously,
Right.
it's got its coin, and that has value, but it has value in the same sense that, like, gasoline has value. Gasoline only
Right.
has value if you have something for gasoline to power. You can't just, you know, it's not like money.
Right. Right. Yeah. Like gas didn't have any use
Oh
500
yeah,
years
holy
ago,
shit! They
but
call
gold
it gas.
definitely
They
did.
call it
Yeah.
gas. I
Yeah.
completely. It didn't even. It didn't even. Maybe
Yeah.
is that why they call it? Is that why they
Yes.
call it gas?
That's
Am I?
literally why they call it gas. That's
Well,
well,
there I go. Look at me being
yeah.
deductive without even like trying to. All right, awesome.
Yeah, well, the metaphor always was that Ethereum was the virtual oil and gasoline, and Chainlink was the pipeline
Okay.
and pump. That's kind of what really sold me on Chainlink was like, oh my God, it's this service that makes Ethereum even better and more useful,
Mhm.
you know. But I was wrong there
Yeah,
for
but
now.
it makes sense. So thanks for laughing at me, John. Um, uh, so I mean, but are these things that rely on Ethereum, given that we're entering in this almost certain recession? Um, is DeFi and things like that, are they all those are probably more reliant, I would think, on traditional markets than even Bitcoin.
Yeah, they are. DeFi is especially reliant on stablecoins, which are obviously uh, very much under scrutiny right now
Mhm.
by the U.S. government and its various agencies. And I think as a result of that, we've seen not only that market track closer to traditional markets, but also we've seen it be uh, retarded in its growth because no one really wants to go heavy into the space because they're not sure if they are going to be able to continue operating in that space.
Mhm.
So that's why we saw an insane explosion in 2020. And this was again another error I made is I got excited with as a libertarian, I got excited with the philosophical and societal impacts of
Yeah.
having a decentralized and open financial system outside of Bitcoin, like with services like lending and various things like that. And that was idealistic, and I was not thinking of the risks in that aspect. And unfortunately, we've seen uh, a lot of scrutiny come down on the
Mhm.
space. But I think eventually it will have its day. But yeah, like right now, like that big hurdle is the stable coins, especially after the Terra collapse, which I think everybody listening
I was
should
just
be
about to ask
familiar
about
with.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, they're not. I I knew about it when it was happening. I didn't know how influential it was going to be. And then I heard about it again yesterday. I think on a podcast. It might have even been like the propaganda report, not a typically crypto centric podcast. But
right,
yeah, no. Why don't you fill us in on that, because this happened between your appearances on the show, and it's a big event. So
right, yeah,
learn about it for those
yeah.
who aren't in the loop.
It changed crypto forever. Yeah. So Luna was a smart contract platform, much like Ethereum. We saw an explosion of competing. They're called layer ones, so L1s, with Ethereum in 2021. Uh, the three big ones were Solana, Avalanche, and Luna. What separated Luna from the pack was that it had its own what's called algorithmic stablecoin, which means that it was through various mathematical trickery and quote unquote being smart, it they thought they were going to be able to just peg it to a collection of not just Bitcoin, Ethereum, but a few other coins like Avalanche, Solana, like things like that, and through an algorithm of cryptos keep it pegged to $1. The problem with this setup was that the whole market went down compared to the actual US dollar. So the stable coin that Terra had, UST, US Terra, uh, failed because you could redeem your UST for Luna, and you could then sell that Luna for a true stable coin that is actually backed 1-to-1 by a dollar.
Mhm.
Which obviously if you're a libertarian thinking like, oh, why would I want to hold dollars, but if as a market participant you're going to actually want to hold a real dollar because that dollar has guaranteed fungibility and it's
Mhm.
guaranteed to actually hold its what value it quote unquote has, as opposed to Terra, which completely just fell apart because everyone went and redeemed their UST for Luna and sold their Luna, and that inflated. So not only did everybody get rid of their UST and dump it, they inflated the supply of Luna, which dragged down the price of Luna. And now the founder and creator, or guy who was running it, Do Kwon, I don't know if he's on the run right now. I haven't really been keeping up with him, but I know that there were several hits that were put out on him. A lot of people committed suicide as a result. Yeah, the token price, it went, I believe, like it was like 128 or something like that, or 140, and it's now like I don't even think it's a penny right now. I have not been
Jesus.
following this for weeks. Yeah, it fully collapsed, and they tried launching a new one. I think it was like Luna 2 or something like that.
Yeah. Terra 2.0.
Yeah, Terra 2.0. Yeah, and obviously I didn't pay attention to that because that's just it's dead, unfortunately. And
This might be a little bit technical, but so my understanding is that Terra would self-destruct if it fell out of sync with the dollar.
yeah,
How, and that's what that was powered by the algorithm. How does a coin self-destruct if it's being held by someone? That doesn't make
because
sense. That doesn't make sense to me in my brain.
it's because of the way that market participants will behave around it.
Okay.
That's why. Because people are holders are incentivized to turn it in for Luna, and then basically we saw happen was designed to happen, except it didn't happen the right way. It happened the wrong way.
Yeah.
It happened not because the network was compromised or because the stablecoin itself was compromised, but because the backing of the stablecoin was. Everybody just realized that, oh, this isn't like it's gonna lose its value. Like it was very obvious.
Why did Luna have such a huge impact on the overall markets? I mean, like I had heard of Luna, but
Mhm.
it didn't seem like it was, in the front of everyone's minds.
Because they bought so much Bitcoin to back it. And this is
Oh,
actually what led to the market dump. And I left this out. This is an important detail.
yeah.
In order to keep the stablecoin afloat, Terra, the organization, sold off all their Bitcoin, dumped it on the market, and
Jeez.
as a result, that just nuked the price. And it was already precarious, but an event like that is guaranteed to just cause everything to just shit the bed, and it did.
It seems like we're seeing support around 30 grand right now for Bitcoin. Do you think that's going to hold, or are we looking at possibly even deeper cuts?
It's a
Cuts?
good question.
Decreases?
Yeah, yeah, cuts, decreases, same, but I think they both work. I think, yeah, that's tough. I don't really know. That's why I'm sidelined right now in stables. I could see us kind of like faking out to both directions and sort of just accumulating here for the
Mhm.
next, like I said, like 4 to 5 months. We could nuke down to previous levels. I will say that if we do go back to 2017 all-time high levels around $20,000, I feel confident saying that would be. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am though, because in every cycle previously that Bitcoin's ever gotten to that level of even getting close to or touching previous all-time highs, like that's the bottom. Uh, I mean, granted, this time we're in a macro bear environment and risk on assets are, kind of not favorable with investors, but I I feel like if it did drop there, there would be so much demand from like smart money that is been sitting here for years that they would just I think they would step in and do it. But honestly, with so much uncertainty, I honestly don't know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I just remember I could have sworn it was like New Year's Eve or some holiday because I think we were at Andrew's parents' house, like doing some sort of family
Mhm.
celebration. But I remember when Bitcoin went over 20,000 in this last bull market, kind of ushering it in. I mean, that
Yeah,
was sort of the 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 mark that said, "Hey, we're heading to 100,000 at this point." Um, when, do you think we're waiting another 4 years? It seems like I've heard like every 4 years is sort of the cycle. Or do you think that things
right.
are going to speed up, or is it just so unpredictable because of the what are you calling it, the generalized bear market or whatever?
Yeah. There's no certain answer here, but I
Sure.
can tell you the probabilities and what's probabilistic. Uh, it is there's a high likelihood. And here's the two most likely. We're going to see shortening cycles where bull markets and bear markets don't rip or drop as hard as they used to. And crypto, Bitcoin especially, like I said earlier, begins behaving more like traditional assets like the S&P 500, NASDAQ. Or this has been an aberration in the history of Bitcoin and crypto, because this in November, December really was when the whole like market, like outside of crypto, crashed too. It could have been getting ready to go to 100,000 and continue shooting up, but the market could have screwed it with everything else going down and people freaking out and not wanting to go risk on. So we could go back to 4 years. That's a possibility. Although I tend to lean towards the shortening cycles theory, and that which is sort of in line with, if everyone listening, there's the 4 year cycle, but another popular theory for how Bitcoin's price action, really all of cryptos, is going to over the next few years, like how it's, the percentage of gains per cycle really is that it's going to logarithmically, it's going to decrease or as time goes on. It's going to stable out. There's a great there's a graph that it's got a curve on everything. Like it's literally like the logarithmic growth curve, and it visually lays out sort of the path that Bitcoin and kind of the rest of crypto will go. But again, the problem with that is you're trying to base a market that is heavily influenced by human emotions and behavior, and it's incredibly difficult to quantify that, especially on high time frames. So while I do lean more towards like this shortening cycles theory, I'm kind of caught in between the 4 year cycle theory, where yes, naturally we're going to be having our scheduled ups and downs, but kind of also this idea that we're not going to have a 2017 like run or anything previous to that ever again. I really don't. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on anything, but that's kind of, those are the two possibilities I see mostly happening. Is that we're kind of we're not going to see things get as great. Like we're not going to see like the face melting runs, and which makes sense that we wouldn't, because the market's less speculative.
Sure.
We know that from previous cycles that you can't just speculate on things like that, because if it doesn't have a use case, if it doesn't have any reason to exist, then why speculate on it? So yeah, I think as I'm kind of, because I'm kind of concluding this as I'm thinking this out as I'm talking it out. I think I do lean heavily towards the shortening cycles theory. Is that it's just going to be acting more like a traditional market.
Yeah, shorter and smaller, I would assume.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a really long-winded way of saying that.
No, it's great, dude. We got to fill an hour and a half. Be as long-winded as you want.
Oh, great.
So you've mentioned the 2017 cycle twice now. What about the 2020 to 21 cycle? Was that not as big as the 2017 cycle? Is that
no, okay. It wasn't. Bitcoin, it ran from its previous all-time high from 1,200 to just under 20,000 in 2017. You had altcoins, and this happened, this last cycle too. Altcoins went crazy. They're gonna go crazy, and you're gonna see as more services come online that actually are valuable, you're going to have those amazing tokens and those amazing stories that come out of teams that develop world-changing projects. And obviously those are going to have insane gains. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen again like that. At least it's going to happen, and we're going to have more insanity. It's never going to be this insane, because, and here's another thing that this is I think the key thing that separates 2017 from future cycles. People were still doubting Bitcoin as a store of value in the crypto space. We weren't sure. That's
why I'm not a millionaire. I mean, honestly, I was in Bitcoin and Litecoin in 17, and I sold as soon as I got scared.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's all. I think that's also why, and we had that fundamental debate between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin.
Sure.
Uh, that's something that's not going to happen again. Bitcoin Cash has clearly failed. All the Bitcoin derivatives have clearly failed, and Bitcoin, as it used to be called by the Cash people, Bitcoin Core, is going to continue on as the core Bitcoin. It's going to be here as long as crypto is here. Bitcoin will be here.
Are the maximalists right?
About what specifically?
I don't know. Are they right about Bitcoin being the only coin with any longevity, the most promising, etc.?
I think in terms of longevity, they have a point. It definitely, like, if you're just wanting to buy any crypto token and just hold on to it and pass it on to your kids and just like literally forget about it, obviously Bitcoin is your choice. But as someone who is, well, a little greedy, but also someone who really likes technology and really, sees the promise of
Yeah.
these other networks, it just, I can't, I this is the best analogy that works. And this is what I was talking about with my friend at lunch today, is that gold bugs love gold as money. And obviously, like, gold as a, like, if we're talking off of, physical things that exist in the real world, gold is the best reserve for a currency.
Mhm.
But other metals exist that have uses besides being a store of value. You have, and they, but they also do work as store of values. Silver is not designed to be a store of value, but it can be a store of value. It can be an investment vehicle. It has utility, in the market, obviously, for industrial purposes, jewelry,
Yeah.
etc.
Well, and
And
medical as well. I mean, arguably,
yes,
silver is more useful than gold. I mean,
right,
for scientific and so forth reasons.
right. And I think while it's not a one-to-one comparison, crypto is similar because, it's like I mentioned earlier, Bitcoin's not designed to be a general purpose blockchain. It's not designed to be able to support decentralized financial platforms. It's not designed to be able to support, say, a peer-to-peer insurance marketplace or an NFT marketplace. And yeah, you could hypothetically build it on there, but you're not going to have the most optimal performance and scalability for that use case on Bitcoin. It's just, it it is limited by its own strengths
Mhm.
in that respect.
Much like gold.
Yes, exactly.
So why should someone early in their investment career start with Bitcoin and not, say, an S&P 500 index fund?
Because in my humble opinion, Bitcoin actually has that hard coded value in it. And well, yeah, obviously, like, equities have value. Ownership in a company that's actually producing something has value. Uh, it doesn't really have that utility beyond being an investment vehicle, though. While yes, Bitcoin is an investment, and and also, apart from the fact it's going to outpace the S&P 500 in my opinion, because one day the S&P 500 will be measured in Bitcoins. Um, it has utility as a money. You can send people
Now you
Bitcoin.
sound like a Bitcoin maximalist.
Yes, I will. Exactly. But this is just whenever you're saying anything pro Bitcoin, you do sound like a maximalist. The only difference
Mhm.
between being pro Bitcoin and being a Bitcoin maximalist is acknowledging that, Bitcoin has its weaknesses and that there's other, networks and tokens that are designed for certain uses that will, excel in those areas.
Um, what about central bank digital currencies? I mean, are we looking at the Fed coin? And if so, wouldn't the S&P 500 be denominated in that?
Well, as long as the US government exists, it would be, but I don't really see the point in having a, like, Fed sanctioned CBDC because you already have uh everybody using the other ones. I don't and people think they're gonna, and if they did go through this route, it would suck. If they did ban all the other stable coins, they said you have to use uh the Fed's stable coin, that would really freaking suck. But just from because fortunately now, and we're talking about institutions here, crypto has some of its own, there is a crypto lobby, there is a pro crypto lobby that exists. And while they don't always necessarily do what's best for the interest of the industry, because, well, lobbying uh, and greed and all that good stuff, but I think that they will probably just sanction the existing ones. Like USDC, I think is easily going to get uh, like an approval of some kind from the US government, because Circle is like working directly with them. Uh,
Why don't you get into that a little bit? There are several stable coins pegged to the dollar. There's Tether, there's USDC. Why are there so many, and what are like the differences? And
right,
what you just mentioned Circle. I don't know. I've never heard of Circle. So even I, who am somewhat educated in this, there's things that I don't understand in it. So
right.
can you get into that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, just answering your thing real quick. Circle is just the organization that's behind the US dollar coin, USDC, for those who are uninitiated. Um, but yeah, the reason why they all exist is because they have different methods of providing that one-to-one backing. Tether is the oldest stablecoin. I don't know exactly. I think it's been around since 2014, 2015, something like that, I want to say. It was here before I got into crypto in 2017, though. And it has the most liquidity. It is one of it bounces around, but usually it's either the third or fourth largest crypto by market cap, even though it is just a US dollar coin. Not the US dollar coin, but it's a US dollar pegged stable coin. You have access to that liquidity holding Tether. That's the benefit of Tether, is that you can trade on most exchanges, basically on any centralized exchange. Any coin, you're going to be able to trade for Tether. Like, so if you have that's like the best token for traders. I trade in Tether. That's the strength of Tether. But the problem with Tether is that even though, yes, they're audited and they have mostly backed by dollars, it's not all dollar backed. I believe I forget exactly what it is. I'm blanking right now, but they have, I believe, some bonds or some notes of debt or some kind that back up some of the other reserves, but it's not actual solid dollars. So, well, yes, they technically, contractually on paper, have that value. They don't have the one-to-one dollars, which is an issue. USDC is different. It's all dollar backed. It's all audited. They have various accounting firms that come in and do it. The problem, though, is that there's not as much liquidity. And while if you then here's and this is basically the best way to put it, is if you're going to just be sitting in dollars on the blockchain, like I am, like right now I'm sitting in USDC. That's what I'm sitting in, because that's guaranteed to have a dollar backing. I can convert that. I can go and you know redeem it for a dollar. Uh, I hold Tether whenever I'm trading, though, because I'm moving funds like constantly back and forth between exchanges and all that good stuff in wallets, and I want to have that liquidity, and I don't have that with USDC. Even though there is a lot of trading opportunities with USDC, it's not the same as Tether. And then you have a few others like DAI, but which is DAI. Like, but the problem with DAI is that they have like USDC backing it. So what's the point of really using DAI if a good portion of it is
Yeah.
USDC backing it at that point? So, and then you had Terra, which was an algorithmic stablecoin, which obviously that failed, and we got into that. Um, I'm blanking on the others right now, at least the US dollar backed ones, but really that's like the main difference between
Yeah.
the two big ones is Tether and USDC. That's the strengths and weaknesses for them both.
I was on an exchange, and it may have even been Binance. I don't remember for sure, but DAI was the only stable coin that they had.
Gemini,
So,
yes.
oh, was it Gemini? Okay, so that
Yes.
was like, now Gemini has its own token, right? Is that a stable coin, or
Yes, they do. They actually, and yeah, you're right. I forgot about this. Yeah, I think it's GUSD or USDG. I'm
yeah,
not
something
sure.
like that? Yeah,
Yeah, they have their own. That's just if you want to hold, I guess, the Winklevoss's token. I haven't really looked into it that much. I guess if you if you think the Winklevi twins are sexy, I guess you can hold that.
And they are.
Yeah.
So are they behind Gemini?
Yes. Yeah, they
Oh,
are.
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Gemini is my exchange of choice. If anybody's looking, I probably have a link somewhere if you want to send me $5. If you're just now getting into crypto, although I mean I don't know. I mean we're heading either in a very bearish direction or possibly in a bullish direction in the next few months. So now might be the time to start getting into it. What do you think, Pavel? Is this do you, if you were someone who's got zero invested in crypto at this point, um, with the kind of coming storm, would you be getting into it now?
I would begin playing with it. Yeah, because I mean, obviously there's downside risk right now of it dropping down further. But if you're just putting money into Bitcoin and Ethereum and you're not over investing, I think yeah, now is definitely a good time to begin playing. And again, like I said earlier, I'm thinking of going heavy in October, but my finger is always on the trigger, and I am ready to go if we do get a reversal and things get bullish again.
Cool. So the last time we saw each other, we we had a little dinner that
Oh yes,
Donnie Gebert of all people just showed up. Um, I
love
guess he
that
had
dude.
seen. I guess he had seen that we were there, like on Facebook or something like that. So he came.
Mhm.
He gave us a very, very in-depth, but also kind of nebulous and confusing lesson on crypto pricing mechanisms, I guess. It reminded
Yes.
me of trigonometry, and I didn't understand it at all. You mentioned before we started recording that you actually spent a couple of hours on the phone with him getting to the bottom of whatever the hell it was he was trying to communicate to us. I thought it was probably useful as long as it was understandable, and it wasn't understandable at that point. No offense to Donnie, but I mean, he knows this too. His brain works differently from other people's. Can
Right.
you maybe kind of synthesize whatever the hell it was he was saying? And if there's useful tidbits in there, also point those out.
Right. I'm gonna do my best to represent Donnie's, and I'm not gonna get too into this because I I'm
Okay,
not as
cool.
familiar
Yeah,
with it as I should be.
it
And
might
I don't. Yeah.
it might even help if I have you and Donnie on the show at some point.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
It probably in a few months, because I don't like to focus too much on crypto, and you're kind of
Right.
my one crypto guy. So maybe if we get the both of you on here, that would be a good. And I promised him he was coming back at some point too.
Oh, that'd
So
be a fun one, actually. I think we should do
yeah,
that.
I think it would too. I would probably need to block out a double length episode or something like that, just to help everybody wrap their heads. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that would
Anyway,
be
so
a
yeah,
long one.
give us the trailer for that then. I guess like what are we talking about?
Yeah, so Donnie's premise is that all the and getting into sort of like oracles again, uh, is that all of these oracles that are coming from the centralized exchanges, like all the USD price data, like so the oracles that the centralized exchanges run, they're feeding bad information into it, and because they control the flow of dollars through those exchanges, they can manipulate the data that the oracles get, and as a result, institutions and shadowy cabals of people can essentially manipulate the market and test things and sort of play with it behind the scenes and without maximizing price, and they can move, basically they can cycle using the velocity of money. They can basically hide uh, vast transfers of wealth across cryptos. And
So real quick, is that kind of the same concept as when the Fed quote unquote prints money? It's actually giving it to the people at the top of the food chain, and those people get to see the dollar at its highest value, and then as it
yes,
trickles down, it loses value.
yes, it's basically what
Great.
Donnie's getting
Okay.
at. It's kind of different. This is kind of where I have issue. I just don't understand it as well as him, so I don't feel comfortable explaining it. But that's basically the gist. Is that, and he points to Changpeng Zhao, who CZ, who's the founder and CEO of Binance, which is the largest exchange by volume in the world for crypto, and he has some evidence because he was I think it was a signals officer, I believe, in the military, and he has like he recognizes certain like signal patterns that are used for various operations. And he has pointed out several correlations that are 1 to 1 in coins that are unrelated and shouldn't be correlating like that. Like on these, it's on these really low time frames too, where you can hide that movement. No one's going to see it, but if you're looking for it, you find some really wacky stuff in terms of just price action that shouldn't be happening. Like,
And
oh yes,
yeah, keep going, keep going.
like the example that we, and this was a month ago that I looked at it, and and if Donnie's listening, Don, I'm sorry, I haven't looked into this as much as I have because life has just been really busy. But if you like, for example, look at Sheepcoin, which is another meme coin, and you look at say Binance Coin or Ethereum, uh, you'll find, no, excuse me, sorry, had a little bit of a burp there. You'll find these like exact movements in price that form a signal in these like I guess these, this is where I'm starting to struggle explaining it now because
Mhm.
this is Donnie's wheelhouse. Basically these mathematical, like these waves, like these signals, they form and you have to calculate it by hand, and he's, obviously an expert at that because, signals, communications and all that. uh Essentially it forms what he says is, like basically a testing mechanism to move vast amounts of wealth through like various cryptos without anybody seeing him. And I think he's right. Like obviously, like I need to really, really like sit down more and study this myself. It's kind of hard for me because I don't really know where to begin, and it's hard to get someone's actual like level of expertise like that when they have that much experience like Donnie does.
Okay, cool. I think that's probably good enough as
Yeah.
far as that goes. And like I said, I'll get the both of you on the show. I don't think I've ever had a two guest show before. I'll have to figure out how to do it. But oh yeah, I have. I have. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get
Um,
them.
well, okay, so that's, I think we've kind of reached the end of like the questions that I had prepared. Is there anything else that you kind of wanted to focus on at all?
Oh man. Oh, you want someone wanted us to talk about Monero, the
Oh,
privacy coin.
Monero, you're right. Yep, that's right. So Monero, like I mentioned in the intro of the show, I was at the Libertarian Party convention last week, and Monero had a booth there, and so lots of people actually came up to me and asked me if I could like interview the founder of Monero or something like that. I don't know if I want to get, I don't know if I want to have like a marketing show just for Monero. I've done those
Right.
kind of things before, and they never. I always feel a little bit weird with that sort of thing, unless it's somebody I know well. Like Joseph Eklund came on the last episode to talk about Farm Match, but like I know Joseph, and so we had a good conversation as far between friends. Anyway, yeah, tell us about Monero. I think everybody who knows anything about crypto knows that Monero is sort of the most popular privacy coin. But what is a privacy coin? I guess first of all.
Well, a privacy coin is, it's a coin on a blockchain uh, that you can move anonymously, unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of these other ones. If I pay you and you know what my wallet address is or your wallet address is, you can see all the tokens moving in and out of it. And if if you try hard enough and you have the detective skills, you can figure out exactly like who's moving money where and to who and how all that is, how like that's kind of an issue. Obviously, that's a great thing if you're like a corporation or a publicly traded company and you're trying to be open for investors. When you're trying to hide from an authoritarian government, not so much. And that's where Monero and a lot of these other privacy coins step in. And I'm actually not, again, I'm not much of an expert on like the tech itself. Just this is like all I can speak to really is the trends in the market from a price action standpoint and from what the narrative is amongst, just the various participants and sort of like figuring out what that is. And I don't know the specific state of Monero itself. I don't necessarily know uh, who is really trying to compete with them right now because this last cycle, especially, privacy coins took a backseat to a lot of the more sexy things like
Right.
NFTs and to some extent DeFi, even though it's not as sexy. But people got more excited about gains.
Well, DeFi is sexy in the same sense that Goldman Sachs index funds or I mean, sorry, S&P 500 index funds are sexy.
Right.
People who know things about things tend to gravitate towards them. Um, one competitor to Monero, and I don't know if it's a competitor or what, but a lot of libertarians and especially agorists, because Jack Spirko loves him, is Pirate Coin. It's
Hmm.
I think their symbol is ARRR or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
R. Yeah.
yeah, are you familiar with Pirate Coin?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I've never really used these networks. Privacy coins aren't my wheelhouse. I think that it's a very underdeveloped sector of crypto, and as we face more regulatory scrutiny, it's going to proliferate. It just there hasn't been that necessity for privacy yet, and as a result, we haven't seen that space really explode. And while yeah, Monero still is entrenched as the number one privacy coin, um, no one that I know of really uses it. And there's right now, at least, if you're trying to, there's more effective ways of at least hiding your money
Hmm.
that are like proven to like sort of like
Well,
at least legitimately appear as that it's there are legitimate ways to essentially launder your money in crypto.
besides
But
besides the old
yeah.
under the mattress trick, what are some ways to I don't want to say launder your money, but that's just because I don't want you to give me advice on
Oh,
how
I'm
to
not.
commit a
Yeah,
felony.
yeah.
But
This is yeah. Yeah.
but like
None of this
what
is
are some
yeah.
ways to keep yourself safe from prying eyes?
Well, and this is kind of what some people will do. Is that they use NFTs. They'll set up a new wallet. They'll transfer. They'll basically use that as their vehicle. Like they'll create sales with themselves essentially. And if you're smart, if you use like the right centralized exchanges that will, uh, even though like if like yeah, if the government comes knocking at their door, they'll turn your information over. But if you're trying to just hide from prying eyes, like someone who's trying to stalk you or something, you could move your funds through an exchange, like a centralized exchange, send it to another wallet. Um, that there are methods, but it, there definitely needs to be a proven privacy token. And while from what I understand, Monero is sort of that. I've also seen people talking about like expressing their doubts, and this is the problem is that I'm not as tech savvy. Like I love tech and I love
Yeah.
but I can't actually like code these things. I don't know if it's like I need to see how the market behaves to really get a read on how it's going to play out with a certain network or token. I will say that based off of the price action of Monero, like just against the US dollar for whatever it's worth, it on the macro when I looked at it earlier, I didn't really like what I saw because I saw it double topped out basically right below, I believe, $500. Maybe it was below 400. I'm not exactly sure, but anyways, like either way, that's not something you want to see, like just from a price action standpoint as a trader or investor, like on high time frames, because that shows that you have massive like nobody really values it above that point. And well, maybe Monero does have use as a privacy coin, and maybe I would look into this more. Just if anybody listening to this wants to use it, just verify that, of course, and like really read into it. But you know, I think it's tough to say because I don't know the tech, but just looking at the price action, I don't feel good about it. But I am long term. I am bullish on privacy coins. There's gonna come a day where the market is really demanding them, and that's gonna force innovation.
Yeah, if for no other reason than that, FedCoin has become the sort of de facto trading vehicle. I mean, there are going to be people who for whatever reason, desire their privacy. And so I would imagine that a privacy coin would probably be the best way to fill that gap. Bitcoin's not going to do it. I guess the one kind of criticism of Monero from people who are more pirate chain lovers is that Monero isn't actually as private as the marketers would have you believe. And I know even less about the tech than you do, I'm sure. But I don't know. I think if I'm looking for something that's going to be super duper private, because I'm, you know, whether I'm committing criminal activity or just really don't want anybody to know what the hell's going on in my financial life, which obviously there's something to be said for both of those things.
Mhm.
The Monero may not be your best bet. I don't know the tech. I don't know the stories. I don't know anything about it other than that, a very trusted source like Jack Spirko. If they're saying, "Hey, watch out for this thing," then it might not be your best bet. That's just my 2 cents.
I think that's
So
a
to
good
speak.
take.
Right, Pavel. So why don't we shift gears back to personal stuff? I guess I'm kind of spent on crypto.
Okay.
So you have been very health conscious ever since graduating college. You basically have lost a shit ton of weight and money, but weight especially. What's your kind of regimen look like? What are you doing
Well,
to take care of yourself
uh,
aside from cleaning your room, as we mentioned earlier?
yes, well, yes, that's the Jordan Peterson way of taking care of yourself, cleaning your
Mhm.
room. uh, I just I don't I I don't eat more than what I'm allotted calorically per day, and I lift weights, so I just mostly eat protein, and I reach my macro goals per day of my protein, which is 70% of my body weight in grams. I I don't eat
So if
over.
you're 100 pounds, you're eating 70 grams of protein. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. Yes. I I just I don't overdo it. That's what I do, and uh, I I I just it's funny though because I really don't eat that great. I
I know
think
I've eaten with you before. Like
that
it's true.
I still eat like a fat kid, but I think really for me at least the key is the fact that I just live I'm active. Is that
Yeah.
I and also fasting. If you allow your body time and all this okay, this is what it is. Okay. It's fasting, eating protein primarily, having protein be your primary nutrient source because your body uses more calories to burn that down, and it keeps you satiated and actually fed, like truly like you have the nutrients for a much longer time than carbs do. Um, also, like again, like fasting allows your body to burn off those carbs
Are,
and like those bad calories first.
are you talking about like long-term fasting, like maybe a 3 days out of the month, or are you talking like intermittent fasting where you're only
Intermittent.
eating? Okay, cool. Yeah.
Intermittent, yeah, as I, like, finished that, I realized I was like, "Oh, I should probably specify." Yeah, but I will say, though, if I do, like, have a string of bad day and this probably isn't the healthiest thing to do, but it works for me, and I don't feel bad or unhealthy when I do it, but if I have if I eat like crap for a week or a few days or something like that, I will have a day sometimes where I fast, or I it's not even like a fasting day, but it's really like, okay, I'm literally just going to, like, drink a protein shake, like,
Mhm.
e throw some chicken in the oven and be done. Like, that's it. That's all I'm eating for the day.
Cool.
Uh, but, like, for the most part, it's really just controlling what I eat and just not eating crap every day. And if I do wanna eat crap, just limit it and count the calories and make it fit in there.
What do you use to track your macros? Are you like in MyFitnessPal, or do you keep a journal, or what's the deal?
I kinda wing it in my head. I
Oh, nice.
am good, yeah, I've got because I used to use my fitness pal when I was losing weight a long time ago. So I sort of know I don't never get it exactly, but I know the ballpark of what like something is calorically. I'm pretty good at estimating that and getting like within 100 calories of it. So I just keep track in my head, and that's really about it. If I forget, I'm just like, okay, what did I eat today? And then I'll go through and I'll just use my brain as a calculator.
That's the autism speaking.
It really
Um,
honestly is.
how often are you going to the gym?
I go 4 days a week, although recently I've been slacking. Unfortunately, I've been doing half weeks, so I've just been doing. I have A days and B days, so I'll do two. Like my A day is just I work my back and my legs, and my B day is basically my arms and my shoulders, and like I work my core every day. But no, I've just been doing like one A day here, a B day there. Like this week, I worked out on Tuesday, then I worked out yesterday. Just I've been so busy, like just even though the market has not kept me active for some reason. I'm just like kind of I think it's because I'm busy all over the place, like doing like things with like either like I'm helping my friend right now with this. I'm I'm like hanging out with people socially because it's summertime. I'm doing things. But I do try to at least get in 4 days a week at the gym. That's kind of how I do my sanity. If I don't, I at least do one a week, one like an A day a week and a B day a week just to maintain my
Cool.
muscle mass.
Yeah, I'm doing, I think most weeks I'm going 3 days. I'm also seeing a personal trainer though, which has been really helpful. He's
Nice. Yeah.
actually, he's got me in my first powerlifting competition coming up here in a couple of weeks. So I'm really looking
Oh,
forward to that. I
hey,
know.
nice. I'm
Pretty
rooting
fucking
for you.
cool. So when I was in high school, I was an offensive lineman, and I was the only lineman on my team who couldn't bench 200. My bench was just absolutely abysmal. Like I made up for it with lower body strength, but my upper body strength was just terrible. And so I put up 205 about a month ago, and I haven't maxed since then. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what I can do because it's really cool. It's really cool getting strong. Like, and I
Oh
mean, you
yeah.
can kind of like I still kind of look like a fat guy. Anybody who is watching the LP streams kind of knows what I look like. But the uh, the the fact that I can like lift really heavy shit is just kind of neat. Um, I guess I don't have the best diet in the world. I don't track calories. I mean, we eat home cooked meals almost every night, which is a really good start. Um, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I've got A, B, and C days that my trainer just kind of put together for me.
Mhm.
Um, what are what's your core routine look like? You said you do core every day.
Yeah, I just have two core exercises. I'll do on my A days. I'll do planks on my B days. I don't even know what the exercise is called. My friend just showed it to me one day. But it's you have a medicine ball, and you go up like on each like you do like a set on each leg, and that's like a total like you do 10 reps for each leg. That's a total of one set. You just like you lay back flat with the medicine ball like above your head on the ground, and then you in unison lift up. Like you keep either your left or right leg arched, and then the opposite leg you raise up as you're lifting your upper body up, and you meet
Oh,
up in the
sure.
middle. Yeah, and I again I don't I which is this is bad that I don't know what one of my exercises is called. I just have it in my phone as ball exercise. Like
Nice.
it's like ball exercise. Yeah, which is now I say that out loud. Very nice.
Well, yeah, also very nice.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that's probably it. Why don't you plug what you got to plug if you want to plug anything?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's really the only place I'm active. It's at Pavel Chadsuk. I'm sure James will drop it in the description. It's kind of hard to spell,
I
but
will.
you'll be
Yeah,
able to read it there.
what is the Chad Sook thing? What is SYUK? What does that
Well,
mean?
my pseudonym is my favorite hockey player of all time, Pavel Datsuk, and Chad is the internet meme for Chad. And I tried for a while being like a serious like crypto Twitter account where I was posting like my technical analysis and like what every trade and every move I
Mm,
was doing. And then I realized that nobody cares and that really the best way, and this has actually worked, the best way to get into the social circles on Twitter and like start getting some of the actual geniuses to follow you and like get in those communities is just a shit post and be funny and likable and not a
yeah.
total cringe idiot.
Apparently that's how you get Dave Smith to come on your podcast too. Just cyberbully him on Twitter. He's told me twice and also like publicly announced it on Biblical Anarchy that he's coming on my show, and like I'm just ghosted at this point. I haven't heard from him in forever.
I'll
So
I'll I'll harangue
we'll
him at
see.
Skankfest for you. I'll be there in
Dude, yeah,
November.
if you happen to get some FaceTime with him, like let him know you know me. He knows my name, like he knows who I am.
Yeah, I'll
But
drop you.
I really want to get him on the show
Yeah. Well, you
before
know
he's like,
Tom, so
Yeah, I'm not
That's
gonna ask.
that.
I'm not gonna ask Tom to ask Dave to.
Oh no,
go
no,
to
I know that. No, but I'm just saying like, yeah, I'm just to myself saying like, oh yeah,
Oh,
you know Tom. That's yeah. So I'm sure
yeah,
Tom has mentioned you to Dave.
yeah. Well, and Dave and I have been in the same room several times in the last
Oh
year
yeah,
just
that
because
too.
of all the libertarian shit that I've been doing.
Oh, that's right. He was in
Um,
Minnesota too.
yeah, he was in Minnesota, Pennsylvania twice, Reno, and then somewhere else. But in any case, like he knows me by name and face now. Like I don't even need a name tag, which is kind of cool. And
Good.
especially considering he's running for president or probably running for president, like that's one of those skills that like Bill Clinton has where he just remembers everyone's names.
Yep.
So it's a good skill to have. All right, cool. Well, Pavel, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thank you so much once again for coming on. It was
Thank
good
you.
talking to you again, and I'll probably see you in a couple of months.
Oh yeah, can I just real quick, my
Yeah.
non-financial advice token list. This is not financial advice,
Oh
but
yeah, let's do it.
Bitcoin, yes, but Bitcoin and Ethereum are your safe bets. If you want to gamble, my favorite shitcoin, Chainlink, James knows this. And then Avalanche. That's another one I like. But yeah, that's
Avalanche has a weird symbol. What is it? Or is it just
it's like the A. It's a really weird A. Is in like in like
no? I
red.
mean like
It kind of
the little like 3-letter like
oh AVAX or Avox.
AVAX. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's officially Avox, but everybody just says AVAX.
AVAX is definitely it. All right. Awesome. I'll make sure to link to those. I'll probably just do the CoinMarketCap links to those, and people can buy or not buy as they see fit.
Awesome. All right. Thanks
Cool.
again, James.
Thanks a lot. See ya.